Yeah, so a quick recap of what we did yesterday. We learned about soil as a resource, a very important resource. We learned about land as a resource, a very important resource for our country, and we also learned about uh, what is resource planning, what is resource conservation. Both are very, very important for sustainable development. And then we also learned about land degradation, how most of the human activities are mainly leading towards land degradation. And a very important saying from Mahatma Gandhi, there is enough for everyone's need, but not enough for everyone's greed. So at present, we are in that kind of a situation where people are getting greedy. Our human race is getting greedy, and that is the reason why we are seeing so many climate anomalies, so many upheavals in the pattern of climate that we have, extreme weathers, extreme floods in so many places. Very recently, when we were facing those heavy rains at the same time, I don't know if you have read the newspaper, but in Germany also there were floods.
Yes, sir.
Germany also, this is something unheard of. Germany has never faced such kind of rain and such kind of floods. It's totally unheard of. So this is what extreme climate conditions are leading to. The climate change is happening so fast. This kind of phenomena like floods and all that is going to be a normal occurrence coming in the coming future. So it is up to us to see how we can stop these things, how we can preserve nature in its situation. Right. So we'll take up the next resource.
But,
Yeah. Yes, Sagar.
but and Afghanistan was flooded.
Yes,
Sir,
that also
Rajat.
correct. And even China also saw a lot of floods.
Yes, sir. Karachi also. Yes.
So this is this is what nature is giving back to us. Whatever we have taken from nature, whatever we have spoiled the nature, this is how it's going to give back to us, and it's going to come with in all of a sudden. Most of the scientists, many of the climate, scientists and all, they were actually predicting it might not happen so soon. It might take another 10 to 15 years, but it is happening really soon. Nobody had thought about it would happen so soon. This kind of severe climate conditions. So it's going to continue for the next few years, definitely. Yeah. So taking up soil as a resource. So the introduction to soil, of course, you have all learned this in your 8th standard already in the resources part. The uppermost layer of soil, Earth's crust, which is loose, broken, and useful for plants, is called as soil, and also we know it as topsoil. This part of the soil consists of mineral matter such as sand and clay, and organic matter such as humus, bacteria, and earthworms, which makes for its fertility. Soil is formed mainly Soil is formed mainly to the process of weathering. As a result of weathering, a layer of loose rock.
Yes, sir.
As a result of weathering, a layer of loose rock materials is formed on the land surface. If this layer remains undisturbed for a long period of time, chemical, physical, and organic changes take place in it. These changes lead to the formation of soil. Very similar to the rock cycle that you would have learnt in your previous classes. So, factors which influence the formation of soil. Climate. Climate decides the rate of weathering and the type of vegetation. Topography. Topography of the land decides the accumulation of soil. Topography means the type of land which is there. It could be rocky land, it could be flat land, it could be a plateau. It is called as topography. Nature of parent rock, it decides the composition and texture of the soil. The parent rock is basically responsible for the formation of the soil because that is from where the entire process starts and it gives us the top layer of soil. So the parent rock, the nature of the parent rock decides what kind of soil we are going to have. Is going to be a black soil, is going to be clayey soil, laterite soil, red soil. All this decides is depends upon the parent rock. Vegetation decides the amount of humus available in the soil. So humus is the mainly the organic matter which is available, which is there in the soil and which contributes to its fertility. Types of soils. There are six types of soils. There are six types of soils: alluvial soil, red soil, black soil, laterite soil, desert soil, and mountain soil. These are the main six types of soils that we have. So let us first look into alluvial soil. This is one of the most fertile kind of soils that we have, and you will find it in the northern. Yes, sir?
Are found in northern plains.
Yeah, correct. I don't know why students join in so late, even for an online class. This Niharika, Suhan, I don't know whether you guys are sleeping in the morning or what the problem is. 9:15 is very late, even though I am admitting you. I normally do not. Please remember to join in on time at 9 o'clock at least. Yeah. So alluvial soil is the most fertile and widespread soil found in India. It is formed due to the deposition of fine silt called alluvium by the rivers. It is found in the northern plains, Gujarat plains, and the coastal plains, mainly in India. It consists of sand, silt, and clay. The combination of this is what makes it so fertile. It is divided into Khadar and Bangar, new alluvium and old alluvium. This we have already learned about in the physical features of India last year.
Yes, sir.
It contains soil nutrients such as potash, phosphoric acid, and lime. So it is fertile and good for the growth of sugarcane, rice, wheat, and pulses. So the nutrients which are available in alluvial soil are potash, phosphoric acid, lime. All these make it fertile and which is very good for the growth of sugarcane, rice, wheat, pulses. All these important crops which we have in India, which we have already learned in the agriculture lesson which I had taken earlier before this. Because of this fertility, these crops can grow very easily on this soil. Now, what is this difference between the Khadar and the Bangar? That is the old alluvial and the younger alluvial soil. So, Bangar is the largest part of the northern plain. It's composed of the oldest alluvial soil. See, what happens is the rivers flowing from the Himalayas, the perennial rivers, which have water throughout the year. These rivers flow from the Himalayas and they flow through the northern plains, and in their continuous flowing pattern, they keep on depositing this alluvial soil. Now, these rivers have been flowing for more than thousands of years, and this deposition of the alluvial soil has been happening for the more than thousand or maybe millions of years also. So the older part of the soil, which is that the older alluvial soil which is there, has been deposited lower and lower. That is called as the Bhangar. And the Khadar is the younger alluvial soil, which in the present time is flowing through the rivers and getting deposited in the northern plains. The Bangar lies above the floodplains and they resemble terraces because of the accumulation, right? Because of the accumulation for thousands and thousands of years, they are slightly at a higher level. They resemble terraces. And the soil in this region is renewed every year and it is highly fertile. That is the younger alluvial soil, the Khadar. The soil in the Bangar is the soil in this region is locally known as Kankar and is composed of calcareous deposits. This calcareous deposits or the Kankar, you can see in a harder kind of deposits. This happens because of the sedimentation over the years, because of the deposits which is flowing through the rivers for the past thousands of years, and the sedimentation and the hardening through a natural climatic process. So it becomes a slightly harder kind of a deposit, which is also known as kankar, and it is composed of calcareous deposits. Calcareous means large amounts of calcium also available over here. This region is very suitable for intensive agricultural activity. That is the Khadar region, because it is the younger alluvial soil and it gets renewed every year. It is highly fertile and therefore it is also very suitable for the agricultural activity. So that is the difference between Khandar and Bhangar. So this part, this initial part in introduction to the soil part, is it understood by everyone? Anybody is
Yes,
having any
sir.
doubts?
Yes, sir. What
Okay. Okay. So let us, that was alluvial soil. Let us now learn about black soil. It is also known as Regur soil. Hmm. So these small, small things, normally will come as a one mark question. Black soil is also known as what dash Regur soil. Regur means cotton, because black soil is one of the best soils for cotton cultivation. Most of the Deccan is occupied by black soil. The Deccan Plateau, which we have in the peninsular part of India, most of the part is occupied by black soil, because this Deccan Plateau, which is there, no, we would have learned last year in the tectonic plate movements, is something which has broken away and it has joined this Eurasian plate, right? So this Deccan Plateau, which is there, the soil available over here is very similar to the soil available in the earlier continental plain also. It is mainly black soil and it is millions and millions of years old, this black soil, highly fertile. High water retention capacity, black soil, if you see, you can also do a small experiment at home. If you can take a cup of black soil, you can take a cup of red soil and pour water into it, and you can see the amount of water which is retained in black soil. The black soil will remain moist for a longer period, whereas the water in the red soil will evaporate faster. So this black soil has a high retention capacity, and at the same time when it becomes dry also, it will develop nice wide cracks, because when it becomes dry,
Yep.
soil is sticky when wet and it shrinks when it is dry.
But it allows air to pass through it.
Absolutely right, correct. So self ploughing is a characteristic of the black soil, as it develops wide cracks when it is dried. Rich in iron, lime, calcium, potassium, aluminium, and magnesium. These are all the minerals that you will find in the black soil, and it is little lower in terms of nitrogen, phosphorus, and organic matter. The color of the soil is deep black to a light black. Most of parts of Belgaum, you will find this black soil. It's very easy to find in majority parts of the of Belgaum. It is mainly found in the Deccan Trap region of Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh. Next one, we have red soil. We mainly find this in the lower rainfall area, where rainfall is not very heavy. Moderate rainfall regions, you will find this red soil. It is porous and it has a friable structure. Friable structure means it has more of the molecular structure, basically. It has more gaps in it. Because of that, the water retention capacity is not very high. So that is why, that means it is porous. There is absence of lime and kankar, that is calcium carbonate, impure calcium carbonate. It is very less in content of lime, phosphate, manganese, nitrogen, humus, and potassium. So there is very low amount of that. The color is a reddish color due to diffusion of iron in crystalline and metamorphic rocks. The lower layer is reddish yellow or yellow. So the topsoil part which is there, no, is that you get a nice rich orangish reddish color in this soil. And this is mainly because of the presence of iron in the soil. So whenever we see red soil now means it is a clear indication that there is presence of iron in the soil. The texture is sandy to clayey and loamy. If you ever get a chance, you can always take a cupful of these two soils, black soil and red soil, because it is very easily available over here in Belgaum. You can take a cupful of these and you can actually find out the texture. You can feel the soil and you can feel the texture of the soil, how they differ from each other. So the texture is sandy to clayey and loamy, whereas the texture of black soil you will immediately find a very lot of stickiness in the black soil. Wheat, cotton, pulses, tobacco, oil seeds, potato, etc. These are what grow very nicely in the black soil. It is found in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. Karnataka, basically the northern parts of Karnataka, you will find this. That is in the districts of Gulbarga, Bidar, Hospet, Bellary. These places are rich in this red soil. Andhra
Sir,
Pradesh, yeah.
sir, southern part has more red supply.
Southern part also has, but this Hospet Bellary belt definitely has plenty of red soil. That's the reason why there are so many iron ore mines over there.
Okay, sir.
Where was I? Okay, yeah, it is found in Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, and Jharkhand. Okay, so that was all about red soil. Yeah, laterite soil. So this name laterite soil is of Latin origin and it mainly means brick because
Used
this,
to make bricks.
yes, absolutely right. This type of soil is what is used to make brick. So the bricks that you have in your homes, the walls of your homes, all this is made out of.
Sir, your voice,
Come again, Sagar, what is it?
Yes, sir.
your voice was cracking.
Okay, okay, okay. Sorry. I hope it is clear now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this
Yes, sir.
So this laterite soil, it becomes soft when it is wet and extremely hard when it is dried. Because of this property, it is used for brick making. It is found in areas of high temperature and high rainfall, formed as a result of high leaching due to rainfall. Because of the high rainfall and the weathering of the rocks, the sedimentation of the rocks and the weathering of these rocks, that is called as leaching. Because of that, it is formed. Organic matter of the soil will be removed fast by the bacteria as it is high temperature, and humus also will be taken quickly by the trees and other plants. That's why the humus content over here in this laterite soil is relatively low. It is rich in iron and aluminium. It is deficit in nitrogen, potassium, lime and humus. Its color is red due to the content of iron oxide in the soil, mainly used for cultivation of rice. Okay, ragi, sugarcane, and cashew nuts are cultivated mainly on this soil. It is good for cultivation of tea, coffee, and cashew nuts. And the areas which it is found in, you'll find it in Kerala, you'll find it in Karnataka. In Karnataka, the regions of Chikmagalur and these.
For Western Ghats,
Absolutely right. The Western Ghat area where you find the coffee plantations, these areas have the laterite kind of soil. Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, and Assam. There is some dog barking somewhere. If can please put it on mute. Don't mute the dog, just mute your. There are some students who join in so late. Just now, someone has joined. I think it is Tanuja. I think I don't know the reason what the problem is. 9:30 time, more than half the class is almost over, and now they decide to join. Okay, so that was laterite soil. Let us look into arid soil. Obviously, as the name says, this soil is mainly seen in arid and semi-arid conditions. Arid means where there is almost no to zero rainfall, very, very minimal rainfall, or maybe no rainfall at all. Deposited mainly by wind activities and has a high salt content. It lacks in moisture and humus. Concur or impure calcium carbonate content is high, which restricts the infiltration of water. The texture is very sandy, so it does not have water retention properties. Water will not retain in this soil, and that's the reason why you cannot do much of cultivation also on this soil. The color is between red to brownish in color, and it is found mainly in the western part of Rajasthan.
Sir, does it have
Does it have?
high porosity?
It is porous, yes. It is porous, but mainly this porous is different from the red soil kind of porous. The red soil porous is it will retain water, not as much as black soil, but it will retain water. But this arid soil will retain almost no water. So porous means it is extremely porous, much more porous than the red soil.
Yes, sir.
Next, we have forest soil. Forest soil are formed in the forest areas where there is sufficient amount of rainfall available. The soils vary in structure and texture depending on the mountain environment where they are formed. So, if the forest is in a mountainous area, the texture will vary from a flat kind of forest area. They are loamy and silty in valley sides and coarse grainy in the upper slopes. In the snowbound areas of Himalayas, you will experience denudation and are acidic with low humus content. So this soil has a little bit higher acid content, right? The soils formed in the lower valleys are more fertile as compared to the soils which are found in the higher valleys, right? So this was about the forest type of soil. Any doubts over here up till now, students?
No, sir. Renewable or non-renewable?
What was that?
Soil is renewable or non-renewable resource?
Soil is renewable or non-renewable? Huh? See, soil is a renewable resource as long as we use it properly. If we are, we will come to that part also in this lesson, wherein many of the resources actually are renewable, but the reason why we cannot use it is because of the degradation or because of the pollution. See, we know that agriculture is being done on the same part of land over and over again. Farmers, they cultivate that land for maybe even 50 to 60 years, they have been cultivating the same part of land. But the productivity in that land will reduce with the overuse of fertilizers. If I permit the soil to regain its natural process of productivity, natural fertility, the degradation will not happen. But once I start using more and more amount of fertilizers in it, the degradation process will begin. So soil as a resource will be renewable only if we take care of it. If we harm that soil, it becomes non-renewable. But one thing is certain, it is a limited resource. Okay, yeah. Coming to soil erosion, one of the biggest problems that we face, and one of the biggest problems most of the farmers in India face, is the erosion of soil. This is going to happen whenever there is large amount of flooding in a place, or where the topsoil does not have any retention capacity because of cutting down of trees and removing of the trees from that area. So removal of topsoil from one place to another by natural agencies is called as soil erosion. It could be caused because of running water and wind, deforestation, overgrazing, too many cattle sent over there for feeding on the grass, unscientific agricultural practices, all these are responsible for a large scale soil erosion. Two main types of erosion that we see is gully erosion and sheet erosion. Gully erosion is mainly where there is a depression in the soil, a huge crater like area like is cut in the soil is formed, which is responsible for the topsoil to run out whenever it gets flooded. And a sheet erosion is a flat kind of area wherein the topsoil runs out because of flooding. Now, gully erosion, the rainwater, when it moves down on an uneven land, scoops away the soil and forms deep channels called gullies. Gully is normally what we refer to as a narrow lane. So, similarly, here also this gully word is used. This type of erosion, it is called as gully erosion. A land which is broken into many small parts by the gullies is called as bad land. A bad land is unfit for cultivation and other forms of economic activities. We can see this picture over here of the gully over here where the water sweeps away, takes away the topsoil, and normally only stones and all this are left. So, this particular type of land is unfit for any kind of activity. And then we have sheet erosion where flat land, sometimes water flows over a sheet over large areas down wherever the area is slopey and the water takes away the topsoil. This type of erosion it is called as sheet erosion.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, tell me.
So which one of those two causes maximum soil erosion?
You will find maximum soil erosion in this sheet type of erosion and gully also because of high amounts of that gully you would have seen in this previous photograph, it's pretty deep over here. The more and over a period of time, this gully will widen and widen. With more amounts of rain, it will widen and widen. So both of them cause equal amounts of soil erosion. The topsoil, especially, which is, and for it will take a long period of time for that soil to repair itself.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So now let us quickly recap what we did today. We started with the soil as a resource. We learned about the different components of soil, and we started learning about the different types of soil. We learned about kankar and bangar. We learned about the alluvial soil in the northern plains. We learned about the black soil, the red soil, the arid soil, the laterite soil, and then we looked into the forest soil also, and then we learned about erosion, two main types of erosion that we have, that is gully erosion and sheet erosion, how these two kinds of erosion are mainly responsible for taking away the topsoil, making the land bad, not fit for cultivation and many other economic activities. So, students, please do read your textbooks till whatever we have covered till now. You can post your doubts in the doubt section, and we will meet again in the next class. Right? Any doubts?